What's up everyone, it's Dakota, and welcome back to another video, and there really wasn't any modern decks that I wanted to talk about this week, mainly because the format is pretty stagnant for the most part. I mean, the format is doing what modern does. It's pretty diverse. We've kind of went over all the decks, and while they all kind of trade wins in major online events or in paper tournaments, local and or like RCQs and things like that, I wanted to go over a new product that is going to be coming out called Dominaria Remastered that I'm not sure exactly when the date is going to come out, but it is a set essentially like Time Spiral Remastered, where there's going to be a bunch of cards that are only legal in the formats they are last printed in. And I guess they're currently legal for. This does not make cards that were legal. Like I know Crop Rotation is in here, and Explore or Exploration are in this set that are going to be remastered, but they're not going to be Modern legal or Pioneer legal or anything like that. So that kind of sucks in some cases for some of these cards because I think some of these cards would be pretty sweet for Modern and Pioneer. But before I kind of go over some of the cards that have already been spoiled, going to be released, etc., so on and so forth, I'd appreciate it if you wanted to support me and my content. That you consider subscribing to the channel, ringing the notification bell, and of course leaving a like on the video. It does help me out a lot, and it takes 2 seconds to do, and it's free. And I really do appreciate it. I love all the people that subscribe to my channel because it just makes me feel good seeing that number go up and knowing that people are watching my content and all that fun stuff. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards from this set that I'm pretty excited about. I'm just going to do it all in just a one-shot video. But first, we have the land cycle that's going to be printed in the set. We have what I believe is the enemy color check lands. So you have Clifftop Retreat, Hinterland Harbor, Woodland Cemetery, Sulphur Falls, and Isolated Chapel. If you remember when we had the original Dominaria set printed in however long ago, these lands were printed in that set. So to me, it kind of makes sense then in Dominaria Remastered that these lands do get a reprint. I also believe that the Lair land cycle, Croesus Catacombs, Dargaz's Caldera, Dromar's Cavern, Rith's Grove, and Traverse Ruins were printed in one of those sets, and they're basically like tap lands. You sacrifice it unless you return a non-layer to its owner's hand. Not very good necessarily by today's standards, but I'm sure like in casual EDH and things like that, or even like in limited settings, just having a land that taps for 3 different colors of mana, that's a very good fixing, even if you have to bounce a non-layer, more than likely a basic land, to your hand to get these to come into play. Is still probably pretty good. With the land cycle out of the way, there's some pretty exciting cards in the set. There's essentially like an old border reprint of Sneak Attack, but then you also have like the newer border style of Sneak Attack. A card that was pretty heavily played in Legacy. I don't think sees too much play now, but definitely I would imagine a staple of EDH. Tatyova I know is basically a EDH like competitive like staple. Swords of Plowshares getting its millionth reprint. Time Stretch, which is a take 2 extra turns. Pretty sure this card is like bonkers expensive for probably really no reason. Some of these cards getting the old border and of course a full art treatment. Justice Cap being a card that was very popular. I've heard at least back in the day is kind of like a win condition of sorts. Getting a new art and getting an old border with the new art, and of course there's a very creepy full art, which actually looks really cool. You have Birds of Paradise getting, I believe this was the original Birds of Paradise. Of course, like a very odd. I actually don't like this full art version of Birds of Paradise. I'm a big fan of the buy box promo version of Birds of Paradise, and this one just doesn't do it for me. But the OG art in the old border and even in the new border, it looks pretty good to me. Arborea, never actually played with this card. Creatures can't attack a player unless that player casts a spell or put it on second permanent battlefield last turn. Pretty sweet. Sure, that's going to be like an EDH staple. Force of Will, still super expensive, especially if you get the Legends version of it. But seeing yet another reprint, and of course, another alternate art, full art version of it. Urza's Incubator, a card that is very popular among EDH players. Of course, getting the old board treatment as well. I believe Test of Endurance also has a cycle of old border and new full art. Same with Sylvan Library, just both of these cards. I know Test of Endurance maybe not so much now, but a lot like in the like mid 2010s, like people like playing this card in like EDH and stuff. Sylvan Library, always a very powerful effect, getting to draw extra cards and essentially getting to pay life when it's advantageous to you, when essentially 4 life is more than worth a card. You see like Spirit Monger, we have Mog War Marshal, Pashlik Mons, Undead Gladiator, just some fun cards. Stroke of Genius is like a classic from back in the day. Used to be like a huge win condition in like the Mind Over Matter decks. And now just being printed at rare is kind of insane to me. But I could also see in like a limited format this being pretty good. This is the fact like having your opponent draw 9, 10 cards when you're super deep into a game could probably just end up winning the game anyway. We see have another reprint of Enlightened Tutor, Morgrim Lavamancer, Thran Golem, which is an interesting card. Again, I believe all these cards are reprints. There's no like new cards in the set, but I've never heard of Thran Golem in my entire life. Tiana, Ship's Caretaker, was from like the original Dominaria set. You have Entomb, which is of course is a classic like reanimator card slash, just put your big dumb thing in the graveyard and then you probably get it back on the next turn. Exploration, the card I was talking about earlier, that is getting a new art reprint and of course getting the old border treatment and the full art treatment. Like our friend Dark Depths here, and of course the Sweet Marriage token. I hope this kind of comes in foil because I really like the uh, no, they're not secret layers. They're basically like what secret layers were before there were secret layers. And I'm sure it'll hit me in the middle of recording this. But Dark Depths getting the kind of snow border treatment on the OG land, and then of course the full art, and then the old border printing of said card. Pretty sweet. Not legal in modern. Maybe we can talk about that one day. But not legal in the modern format. Seen heavy amounts of play in Legacy and just various versions of Depths combo and stuff like that. So really sweet. Gives you some options when kind of tricking out your deck and things like that. You have the classics like Mana War. You have Momentary Blink, White Mane Lion. You have Congregate, Spirit Link. Kind of go with the themes or whatever uh, that the devs or whatever are trying to create. You have High Tide, which was like a classic deck in Legacy, way back when. Super fun combo deck, and even like really fun to play in formats where maybe you're technically more limited, like especially like EDH is like your one ofs and stuff. Mystical Tutor, just a really sweet tutor. Not as good as Vampiric Tutor, obviously, but Mystical Tutor nonetheless is a pretty good card. Empty the Warrens and Grape Shot to kind of fill out the Storm deck that you can actually build in Limited. We have Arcanus. Circular Logic is a card that was like super expensive, I remember, for Pauper. I'm not sure if it's still legal, but Circular Logic getting a reprint's pretty huge. Like I said, the card is pretty expensive. You have some of the Enchantress cards, like obviously you have like Undying Rage is an aura you can play, Mesa Enchantress to be able to draw cards off of them, and then Auramancer to go and search for them. I believe there's like a cycling sub theme that kind of goes with the Threshold theme. I believe we go up far enough. We have like Werebear, Crop Rotation getting yet another reprint, Legacy staple, EDH staple, so on and so forth. And you kind of notice that a lot of these cards are really just staples of like Legacy and things like that. Royal Assassin, just like another cool reprint. I believe it's been a while since it's actually been reprinted. I know Vampiric Tutor, Gauntlet, Hunting Grounds, and maybe Kamal. I know all for a fact have old border printings, and I want to say Hunting Grounds, Gauntlet of Power, and Vampiric Tutor getting the full art treatment as well. Really wish they kind of had those cards here. Lyra getting the triple of the old border full art version and just a regular art that you see here. You have cards like Last Chance, Nut Collector, which is pretty cool. It makes squirrels and then can be a giant lord for your squirrels if you have Threshold. So being a 6 mana 1/1 is pretty bad, but getting to create a 1/1 every turn is also really good. Sarah's Avatar, I believe, also getting a full art as well. The one I'm probably most excited about is this full art Yawgmoth. I totally intend, and I really want to so badly, to get the full art version of this. I have the old border ones that are from the Time Spiral Remastered, and I would love to upgrade those into the full art Yawgmoths. The art, it just looks super sweet. Urzalord High Artificer full art is pretty awesome. Glad to see this card is seeing a lot more play in Modern nowadays. So getting to see people play these cool versions of them, just because I love the cool versions of cards anyway. But Urza Lord High Artificer having some sweet art along with Yawgmoth. Can't wait to see these in paper once the set drops. Maze of Ith, Elvish Spirit Guide, other cards that are getting like the old border and new border treatments as well. A reprint of Mystic Remora. This card was super expensive, just really, really expensive. Seeing play in like I believe it was Vintage. It was like a staple of that format. I want to say it's legal in Legacy. I don't think it's played too much in Legacy, at least on like the main board of decks. Of course, EDH and things like that. Just a really unique card. Cumulative upkeep being kind of annoying if you're not like aware of how it actually works, but nonetheless, just a good card. Nice reprint, especially for like the price. Finally, we get to the top, and like the last card we have is Worldly Tutor, and I believe Worldly Tutor is just another card that is ungodly expensive for what it does. Just like any of the other like Vampire Tutor and Mystical Tutor, you end up searching for a creature card, you reveal it, and you put that card on top. Either way, it is still a very good card, and essentially just gets you whatever creature you need for whatever situation, and you're able to draw it the next turn or even that turn given certain circumstances. The full art of this is like beautiful too. I really love this art. They've so far nailed it with a lot of the full art versions of cards. Between like the Worldly Tutor, we saw the Force of Will, the Ogmoth, the Urza, things like that. So far, from this set, I believe there's more cards to be spoiled. I do not think this is the whole set. It's going to be really sweet, honestly, and the limited format is like really awesome. I love playing like these remaster sets. Mystery Booster was like a fun draft set, things like that. So I totally intend to hopefully get in at least one or two drafts of this set. Just try all of the archetypes and see what the heck's going on. Kind of missed out on Time Spiral Remastered, but I definitely want to get in on this, and you should as well. A lot of great cards in the set, and if you can get your hands on some like the old border stuff, I know people will probably go crazy over that, especially just the non-foil versions, given apparently foils curl like Pringles. So that's gonna do it for me in this video. I hope you all enjoyed going over some of these spoilers and stuff. I'm gonna try going over a few more just in detail of like of tutors of reprints that are definitely needed to make some of these cards a lot cheaper than what they actually are. So if that is something that interests you, of course, leave a like on this video and leave a comment as well if there's any specific cards that you want me to go over, or even like video ideas of like cards you would want that are available in older formats to be in like the newer formats and things like that. That's kind of some stuff I'm working on, so definitely would love some inputs as well because I am only one person. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next video.